3 reasons why we should learn to enjoy vegetables on their own with no or minimal seasonings or sauces. Welcome to the Whole Foods Plant Strong Show, where I explore and discuss tips and ideas to make a health-promoting Whole Foods Plant Strong eating habit possible and enjoyable. I am Dr. Chan, your host. In this episode, I'm going to get my 5 guests to do some food tasting, cauliflower and red kale. And after that, I'm going to share 3 reasons why we should all learn to enjoy vegetables on their own. Hello everyone, welcome to the Whole Foods Plant Strong Show. Last week I delivered to each of you a box of vegetables and fruits from NNA, Naturally Nurtured Australia, including cauliflower and red kale. I've also asked all of you to simply steam them for a few minutes for this session of food tasting. This episode of the Whole Foods Plant Strong Show is supported by Naturally Nurtured Australia, or NNA in short. NNA is a regenerative farming grown produce brand from Australia that is now available in Singapore. For more information about NNA's produce, where to find them in Singapore, visit their website, link in the description below. So let's get out your cauliflower and kale. Let's start our food tasting session. Let's start with the red kale.
The kale that I'm having is actually steamed. I kind of find that there is a natural saltiness to this. Yeah, and it's not bitter.
Yeah, I'm eating this raw. I always have raw kale salad. I seldom eat it without any dressing. But this one actually has a sweet aftertaste to it.
Typical kale really have this bitter notes to it. This red kale, surprisingly, there was none of that. And it's slightly sweeter. The texture is very interesting. Seems like it's a bit thicker, like more meat to it.
Yeah, I just steamed it for 3 minutes. It's very tender, very nice, and sweet and salty at the same time. It's really very nice.
Does it surprise you? Is it the first time you're eating red kale?
Yes, it's my first.
I really enjoy eating it. So while the others are sharing, I was just finishing whatever I steamed. I find that it's very different from a leafy green, because for leafy greens, usually the leaves are a lot softer and gets a bit mushy. But then this one is soft and yet there's a crunch to it.
Yep.
So I think sometimes texture also helps with appetite. This is already so tasty, just steamed, so it's very good for somebody who doesn't cook well like me.
Just like you, Ray, I was eating while everybody was talking, not because I was trying to figure out the taste, but I was just enjoying it. The texture, the sweetness, the stronger full-bodied flavor, and I think I enjoy eating this on its own, the red kale, more than I normally do with green kale. Okay, next, let's taste the cauliflower. Okay, Jin Song, how do you find the cauliflower from NNA?
It's very, very sweet. When I received it that day, I was so excited. I immediately bought the cauliflower. It's amazing. I never see my daughter eat vegetables so fast.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Jing Song that it's actually quite sweet. Yeah, I think the last time around, was it Rain who actually described it as spring water? I don't really know how to use the correct term, but it did taste like it was something very fresh tasting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what Ray said, spring water and tap water. It's very refreshing, really, this cauliflower.
I find that for normal cauliflower, you get that unpleasant cauliflower taste. So once again, this one is really sweet and the texture is just perfect. I can think of so many ways of cooking this cauliflower.
Yeah, the first time I tried it, it really reminds me of the difference between spring water and tap water. Why I say spring water is because I go hiking quite a bit, and when you drink the natural spring water, it's really so sweet compared to our regular tap water, and this really reminds me of that. And I've tried this cauliflower 3 times now. And each time when I receive the cauliflower, I tell myself I'm going to roast it, I'm going to do something different with it. But every time I just end up steam, eat, gone. Yeah.
And I'm not saying this because this episode of the Whole Foods Plant Strong Show is supported by Naturally Nurtured Australia. But I really, truly enjoyed this cauliflower. And what excited me so much was that before this, cauliflower was not one of those vegetables that I would normally consider eating on its own. But right now, I have another to add to the repertoire of vegetables that I would eat on its own. And I would dare say, from the perspective of taste and enjoyment of this cauliflower, that I would even say, would you all agree with me that this might just possibly be the best tasting cauliflower we have all ever tasted so far? How many of you would agree with me?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, wow, to me, almost mind-blowing, because it's like, wow, I really, truly enjoy this cauliflower, which is why I'm such a fan. I'm so excited. I now have a very powerful weapon I can use to encourage my patients, to encourage people attending my workshops to explore plant stronger eating habit. That was why I was so excited by it. I hope you have enjoyed the vegetables and the fruits from Naturally Nurtured Australia that I sent to you, I want to ask all of you, do you normally eat vegetables on their own? That is without any need for seasonings or sauces. Taste, the original taste of vegetables.
The kind of vegetable that I started eating in that way was just broccoli, because I think
Yep.
it has a natural sweetness to it. So sometimes I would just boil it.
How many of you also eat broccoli on its own sometimes? Just steam it and just eat it on its own.
I find myself steaming my vegetables very often and just eat it like this. And I find that my taste bud had actually changed. I don't like seasoning much.
And it's not driven out of fear or it's unhealthy, too high salt, high oil, but because you have learned to enjoy the vegetables, their original taste of the vegetables. Is that right?
Yes. Actually, the vegetable has its own unique taste. Yeah, so I learned to appreciate and just enjoy.
Okay, for our family, we started eating vegetables on its own because sometimes when you go like chicken rice store and then you order the vegetables from there, it's actually just blanched. So then we were thinking, actually, instead of paying so much, we can also blanch vegetables at home. And we found that the baby kailan, the baby choy sam, and even the Japanese green, they taste very good just by blanching for like 30 seconds. And you don't even need to add soy sauce on it like what they do at the chicken rice store. We really just eat it on its own and it's just so tasty.
Was that something you do all this while, or in the last few years as you began on this journey to get plant stronger, you have begun to appreciate and enjoy more different kinds of vegetables on their own?
Definitely our amount of vegetables that we consume only increased after we got to know you, and you encourage us to really have 2-3 types of vegetables per meal. To us, previously it's really just one vegetable, one meat, and maybe a soup for a meal. It never crossed our mind to have multiple vegetables for a meal, even when we go and eat out.
Now, let me share with you 3 reasons why I am encouraging all of you to continue to learn to appreciate and enjoy vegetables on their own. If you want to build plant-strong eating habits, learning to enjoy vegetables on their own can be a very powerful enabler. Number 1, it makes plant-strong eating habits possible and simple enough for everyone to practice. We do not need complicated, time-consuming cooking methods to cook vegetables before we can enjoy them. If simply steaming or blanching vegetables in hot water is good enough because we have already learned to appreciate and enjoy vegetables on their own. Number 2, it makes it more convenient. Being pressed for time will no longer be an obstacle to us putting lots of vegetables onto our dining table. Because even if we do not have enough time to prepare our favorite vegetables dishes that would take a bit of time to cook, we could just take some vegetables from our fridge and simply steam them literally from the fridge to table in no more than 5 minutes. And lastly, it will make a plant-strong eating habit more enjoyable because we would then be choosing to eat more vegetables simply because we enjoy eating many different types of vegetables, even when they are cooked simply. And we are not having to force ourselves, constantly having to remind ourselves to eat more vegetables because it is healthy. We are choosing to eat more vegetables because we like vegetables, even when they are cooked simply. So these are the 3 big reasons why I encourage all of you to go and begin to make the effort. Whenever you try new vegetables cooking at home, taste them simply cooked without any sauces, taste it, and then begin to appreciate the nuances, the different layers of taste, the flavors of vegetables. Vegetables can be not just good for our body, but it can also delight our souls so that we will learn to love foods that will love us back. Food can be medicine, powerful medicine in preventing and combating chronic diseases. And it does not need to be complicated. It does not need a person to have a nutrition diploma and have special equipment and spend a lot of money on special kind of foods. No, we keep it simple and do it well. At every single meal, choose whole foods. Get plant stronger. Pay a bit more attention to the preparation method. Pay a bit more attention to how the foods are produced, to the best of your ability. We can't control everything, but we can certainly control what we put onto our plates.